So we just had another federal anti-gun bill be filed. This one, HR 1004, is a federal liability insurance requirement for you to exercise your Second Amendment rights. Let's talk about this. But real quick, before we jump in this video, I want to thank one of the sponsors of the channel, that being TacPack. TacPack has a subscription-based box that is geared towards us gear guys, us firearms owners. They have a lot of really neat things that you get monthly in their box, including things like apparel. So I highly recommend you guys take a look at them if you're a gear guy like me. I'll put a link to them down in the details section, and if you use code ARMSCHOLAR, you get a free grab bag with your subscription. So HR 1004, what does this bill do? Well, it sets out a federal requirement that everybody in the US must have liability insurance for them to purchase firearms and actually possess those firearms which are purchased after the effective date of this bill. And so I'll read to you real quick what it says. It says that it shall be unlawful for a person to purchase a firearm unless at the time of the purchaser presents to the seller proof that the purchaser is covered by a qualified liability insurance policy, which means when you walk into a gun store, you will have to show that gun store that you have some sort of liability insurance before they will actually let you purchase that firearm. To that end as well, the gun shops will actually have to verify that as well before they sell it to you. So it goes both ways. This is a restriction on us, the purchasers, as well as a restriction on the sellers as well. And for this, it says that it shall be unlawful for a person to sell a firearm unless at the time of the sale, the seller verifies that the purchaser is covered by a qualified liability insurance policy. What's actually interesting about this as well is I'm curious how they're going to handle private party sales as well. Is this going to affect private party transactions as well, where you have to verify that the purchaser of that private party firearm actually has liability insurance as well? It's unclear by this bill, but that's another wrinkle that this could add, is it could affect private party purchases as well. It also says that it shall be unlawful for a person who owns a firearm purchased on or after the effective date of this subsection not to be covered by a qualified liability insurance policy. So what does this mean? Well, again, you're going to have that liability insurance if you want to walk into a gun store and purchase something. If you don't have a liability insurance policy, you're pretty much barred from purchasing firearms. One of the caveats to this, of course, is that they exempt the US government, its agencies, states, and their agencies as well. So you might have heard me say qualified liability insurance policy. This section says that there are going to be certain insurance policies that are qualified. So what does that mean? Well, this bill defines a qualified liability insurance policy to mean a policy that provides liability insurance covering the purchaser specifically for losses resulting from the use of the firearm while it is owned by the purchaser and is issued by an insurer licensed or authorized to provide the coverage by the state insurance regulatory authority for the state in which the purchaser resides. Unlike HR 127, which also had liability insurance in it and a requirement, but that one was through the federal government where you would pay $800 to the federal government and they would insure you. Here it's at a state level. The state is going to actually say which insurance policies are qualified, and then you're going to have to go to those insurance companies and buy those policies. Another thing that's interesting that's not mentioned in here is the qualifications for the state to actually determine what is qualified. So many states, maybe like the state of California or maybe the state of New York, is going to set a policy minimum so high that it prices a lot of individuals out of exercising their Second Amendment rights. It's not unlikely that states like California would do something like this, set a limit for a policy just so ridiculous that it's very expensive for us to actually maintain that liability insurance. And what it does to wrap all this up is it also tacks on a penalty for you to where if you violate this bill, then you're going to have to pay $10,000 in a fine, which is absolutely ridiculous. You're going to have to pay $10,000 for not having some sort of policy to exercise your Second Amendment rights. So I know we're all very focused on HR 127, but bills like this are scary too, and we need to get out and get active against them. Like I mentioned in some of my other videos, we have the ability and the capacity in the 2A community to fight all of these anti-gun bills. And we have a responsibility to the next generations to fight back every single one of these attempted infringements. So we need to get active against this bill, HR 1004. It's simply a piecemeal aspect of 127 with some nuances, some little bit differences. but it's still one of those components in the bill. And we're going to start seeing a lot of these things roll out where they're going to take one aspect of 127 or one aspect of 125, these kind of one-off bills on narrow issues, and try to get those passed while everybody's really focused on 127. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about HR 1004 and the federal government trying to require that you have some sort of liability insurance to exercise your rights. If you like this video and you like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. And another major way you can help the channel is to share it around, because the YouTube algorithm and YouTube itself doesn't like two-way content, doesn't like to share it around, doesn't like to give it a lot of traction. So one thing you can do to help me, help this channel, help us spread the word about things like HR 1004 is to share it around. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.